This, I said loudly, raising my glass and letting my laugh roll through the crowd like a grenade they never saw coming. This is what your mother really is like. Yeah. That got them. Silence dropped like a curtain, right there at the reception. Forks hovered midair, champagne glasses froze just short of lips. A violinist in the corner actually stopped mid-bow. Even the DJ, who thought nothing could faze him after years of playing to drunk uncles and half-naked bridesmaids, let the playlist run dry. My son, poor Matt, looked like I'd just punted a puppy in front of the Pope. "Dad," he hissed, face pale, eyes darting everywhere but at me, "please, don't do this. Not here. Not today. Oh son. Not today. Today is perfect. Because today is their day." The culmination of all her curated images, the magazine cover marriage, the Instagram love story with flattering filters and #blessed captions. And I had no intention of flipping tables or throwing punches. No, no. I already won when I said those 12 words. You could hear the cracks forming in real time. Matt rushed over, grabbing my arm, whispering, begging. He didn't know, not yet, that I'd spent the last 3 months piecing together every smug lie his mother built our lives on. He didn't know that behind this calm, borderline amused expression, I had already lived through the explosion. I gave him a look, the same look I probably gave him when he was 12 and thought hiding his report card behind the fridge was clever. Then I leaned in, voice low, steady, just for him. "Come with me," I said. He didn't argue. Smart kid. Outside, in the back garden, far from champagne fountains and fake smiles, I lit a cigarette I didn't even want. Just for effect. He stood there tense, waiting, worried. "I wasn't going to ruin your mother's big act," I started, flicking ash without looking at him. "But sometimes, son, when a person insists on playing saint and victim all rolled into one, you've got to let the curtains drop." He stayed quiet. Always did when he knew I was on a roll. 3 months ago, I continued, exhaling slow, I found out what she really is. Not because I snooped. No, it wasn't like that. I'm not the jealous type. But receipts started piling up. Weird charges, late nights that didn't add up, stories with more holes than Swiss cheese. So I stayed quiet. I let her keep playing her part while I rewrote the script. His eyes narrowed, but he didn't interrupt. That's my boy. Knows when the truth is finally about to bleed out. "I hired someone," I said simply, watching his face twist. "An old friend, digital forensics. Found everything. Emails. Texts. Appointments. I knew about the meetings that weren't meetings. I knew about the hotel rooms registered under cute little aliases." He swallowed, hard. "Why didn't you say anything?" I smiled, not wide, just enough to show him how much I'd evolved since I was the man who used to bring his mother flowers every Friday. Because saying something gives them power. Doing something, though, well, that's a whole different game. He nodded slowly. Still processing, still trying to stitch together the image of his mother in pearls and silk with the woman I just exposed. I let him sit in that discomfort. "Son," I finished quietly, "I didn't do it to hurt her. I did it so everyone would finally see who she really is. I didn't disgrace her tonight, she did that all on her own. I just flipped the lights on. If you are interested in the continuation, like this video and I would be grateful for your comments. New stories are published here every day. Listen to the story to the end, because what happened at the end will surprise you." He wanted answers. I could see it in my son's eyes. He deserved them, maybe more than anyone else did. So, I lit another cigarette I didn't care about, leaned against the cold brick wall, and gave him the truth. 3 months ago, a random Tuesday that should have been forgettable, became the fault line that split our lives into before and after. I wasn't supposed to be home. Traffic was light, meetings got cancelled, so I thought I'd surprise her. Pull into the driveway early, grab takeout, act like life was normal. The universe must love cruel irony, because as I stepped out of my truck, a sound stopped me dead. It wasn't subtle, wasn't innocent. It was unmistakable. Through the half-open bedroom window upstairs, I heard it. Her. Not giggling. Not whispering sweet nothings. No, she was making sounds no husband should ever hear from his wife, least of all in the middle of the afternoon when she was supposed to be at a yoga class. And then, the voice that answered. Younger. Nervous, but arrogant in that stupid way only boys in their early 20s are. That voice belonged to Logan. My daughter's boyfriend. The same kid who used to call me sir at dinner. The same kid who helped me fix the fence last summer. The same kid who I gave money to last Christmas when his car broke down. My stomach didn't twist. My heart didn't race. No, something far worse happened. I became cold. Detached. Like watching a car crash in slow motion and realizing you're the one in the driver's seat. I didn't make a sound. Instead, I did what men like me do when the ground disappears beneath them. I recorded. Pulled out my phone. Stepped quietly toward the side of the house. Through the half-drawn curtains, their figures were clear enough. He was exactly who I feared. She was exactly who I didn't want to believe. I filmed it. 37 seconds of betrayal. Her face, blissfully unaware. His hand, gripping her hip like he owned it. And then I did something most wouldn't. I walked back to my truck. Calm. No yelling. No door slamming. Just a man who had finally seen the true shape of the monster sleeping next to him. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the porch with a glass of scotch and stared into the darkness, the phone on the table replaying the video on mute over and over again. Rage didn't visit me. Planning did. The next morning, I called someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Danny. Ex-criminal investigation. Retired early, but sharp as a blade left in ice. We weren't close, but years ago, I helped him through a rough patch and he owed me. He picked up on the second ring. Nigel? Been a while. His voice was casual. Mine wasn't. I need help. Quiet help. Danny didn't ask why. He knew men don't make calls like that unless the world's on fire. I'm in, he said without hesitation. Within 48 hours, I handed him everything. The video. The timeline. My suspicions. I told him I didn't want just the affair exposed, I wanted proof of everything. Every meeting. Every sneaky motel visit. Every lie. I wanted their entire game plan on paper so when I moved, there would be no debates, no apologies, no bargaining. Danny got to work fast. He tapped into public security cameras near Logan's college. Traced their calls. Monitored bank transactions. Within a week, he had enough to start connecting dots. Logan wasn't just sneaking into my house while I was gone. He was meeting her at hotels under fake names. Using gift cards to avoid obvious charges. Rookie mistakes, but predictable. They had routines. Danny followed them both. For 2 more weeks, I played dumb. At home, I kissed her cheek. I asked how her day was. I nodded when she said she was working late again. All the while, Danny fed me reports every night like clockwork. Pictures. Logs. Conversations overheard. I learned more about my wife in 14 days than I did in 14 years. She wasn't planning an escape. She was planning a takeover. From whispers I wasn't supposed to hear, they were talking about pushing me out. Selling my business. Starting over, together. Logan even joked once on a wiretap, saying, he'll hand it over, he's too old-fashioned to fight. A month passed. That's how long it took to build the kind of arsenal you don't wave around but keep loaded in the dark, waiting for the perfect moment. By then, I wasn't angry anymore. Anger burns fast, fizzles out. This wasn't about that. This was about control. Danny delivered, and he delivered big. Phone logs, GPS pings, receipts, video, audio. Every slip-up, every lie, every self-satisfied smirk caught and frozen in time like roaches trapped in amber. I had the playbook. I knew where they met, how often, which holidays were ruined behind my back. I even knew about the gifts he bought her. Cheap trinkets, motel room roses, and a necklace that looked straight out of a teenage romance movie. But information alone doesn't win wars. No, wars are won when your enemy looks up and realizes the walls have been closing in for a while now. That's when I made my decision. Evidence wasn't enough. I needed leverage. Blackmail, people call it dirty, unethical. They say that until someone tries to steal their house, their business, their life. Then it becomes strategy. Logan. Of course, it had to be him. He was the weak link. Younger, arrogant, and foolish enough to believe actions don't echo. She was seasoned, calculated. He was careless, sloppy. Perfect. So, I found him. Didn't take long. Danny tracked his gym routine like clockwork. Logan worked out every Friday around 4, probably to impress himself more than anyone else. That's where I waited. Hoodie up, cap low, leaning against the water cooler like just another dad bored out of his mind. He came out, earbuds in, towel around his neck, oblivious. I stepped forward and said his name. Calm, polite. Logan. He stopped immediately. His face drained the way faces do when ghosts show up mid-sentence. Oh, hey, Mr. Fletcher, he stammered, already shifting on his feet like a man whose shoes suddenly felt too tight. Walk with me, I said simply. He didn't argue. We went outside into the cool air, behind the gym, away from cameras and prying eyes. He tried small talk first. Asked how I was. I ignored it. Instead, I pulled out a folder from under my jacket, opened it, and handed it to him like a waiter delivering a bill nobody wanted to see. He hesitated, then started flipping through. Each page hit him harder than the last. Photos. Screenshots. Dates and times. A log so precise it read like a confession. I let him take it in. The silence between us stretched long, and delicious. Do you know what this is? I asked when he finally looked up, his lips pale and his eyes darting like a cornered animal. I can explain, he started, voice cracking under the weight of his fear. I cut him off with a calmness that made him even more nervous. Don't bother. I don't care. He blinked, confused. You don't? I stepped closer, my voice dropping low and steady. No. I don't care about her. She's no longer my problem. What I care about is making sure you, Logan, understand the position you're in. He swallowed hard, glancing down at the damning pages. You see, I continued, right now, this is private. Between us. But there are others who might find this fascinating. Your university, for example. Last I checked, they frown on students sleeping with the parents of their girlfriends. Especially when some of them are on scholarships. Could lose that clean record of yours fast. He opened his mouth but shut it just as quickly. I didn't stop. Then there's the matter of age gaps. Of coercion claims. Of breaking and entering. Yes, Logan, I know about the times you stayed overnight without my knowledge. That's trespassing, in case you're wondering. Want more? I've got digital proof of money being exchanged between you two. Could look real bad in front of a judge. Could sound a lot like payment for services, if you catch my drift. Now his legs started to give. He leaned against the brick wall, staring at the ground, utterly crushed by the reality sinking in. I waited until the silence felt like cement filling the space between us. Then I delivered the final nail. But I don't want to ruin you, Logan. Not yet. Not unless you make me. Here's what's going to happen. From now on, you work for me. His head shot up, desperate and confused. What does that mean? I smiled. Not kind. Not cruel. Just cold and precise. Simple. When I need information, you give it. When I say jump, you ask how high. And most importantly, if I need her distracted, cooperative, or softened up for legal proceedings, you make sure she plays nice. If she refuses, if she gets cocky, or tries anything smart, I pull the pin and let everything here burn her whole new world down with you in it. His lips quivered. He nodded before I even asked. Good. Fear is a marvelous motivator. I handed him a burner phone. I'll be in touch, I said and walked away, leaving him standing there pale as ash and shaking like a leaf in a storm. The funny thing about control is how quiet it feels once you finally have it. It's not loud or triumphant. It's soft. Subtle. Like steady hands on the wheel while everyone else still thinks they're driving. That's exactly where I found myself just 2 weeks after cornering Logan and making him mine. Everything clicked into place with terrifying ease. I wasn't angry anymore, not even amused. I was simply precise. Surgical. The kind of man you only realize you underestimated after it's far too late. By this point, Logan had become everything I wanted, obedient, terrified, desperate to please. He answered my calls on the first ring, sent updates without being asked, even started referring to me as, "Sir," like a kid afraid of detention. I didn't need to intimidate him anymore. His own imagination did most of the heavy lifting. Meanwhile, my son, Matt, struggled to process the truth. We had a long talk after the wedding. He listened to every brutal detail, eyes wide, mouth half open, as though he couldn't believe his mother had sunk that low or that I had risen this high. "Dad, this is insane. I didn't think you were like this," he said quietly, more awe than judgment in his voice. I looked him dead in the eye and said what needed to be said. "I wasn't, Matt. Not until your mother decided to burn everything we built for something cheap and temporary. When someone shows you that loyalty is optional, you stop playing by old rules." He nodded slowly. Respectfully. He didn't fully get it yet, but he would. Soon enough. The divorce loomed large. I knew it wouldn't be simple. Claire, my wife, in name only now, wasn't the type to go quietly. She'd fight. She'd want more than she deserved. And worst of all, she still thought she could outsmart me. That's when I had the idea. A cruel, brilliant idea. If she thought she was winning, she'd reveal everything herself. So I told Logan exactly what he was going to do. I arranged to meet him behind a quiet little bakery one Sunday morning. No one pays attention to two men talking next to delivery trucks. "You're going to sell her a dream," I said, handing him a detailed script like he was auditioning for a play. "You're going to tell her that I'm folding. That I know about you too and I'm done fighting. Make her believe I'm handing over control of the business. To you. Because why not? You're the new man in her life, right?" Logan's face went pale, but he didn't argue. He knew better now. "She'll eat it up," I continued coldly, watching him flinch as I twisted the knife deeper. "She wants to win, Logan. She wants to walk away with everything while I disappear into the shadows, bitter and broken. Give her what she wants. Let her think she's won." He nodded slowly, dread all over his face. "And make sure," I added, tapping his phone twice, "you record everything. Every word. Every smile. Every little confession she makes when she thinks victory is hers." Understand? He understood. He didn't like it, but he understood. By Monday night, the deed was done. He called her. She answered fast, too fast. Desperate, eager. Probably pacing in her silk robe, sipping cheap wine like a villainess from a soap opera. Logan played his part beautifully. Said I was broken. Said I was tired. Said I offered to quietly transfer the business and key assets into his name so I could just walk away and leave them be. Said she deserved better. Every word was crafted to stroke her ego, and from what Logan later told me, she lapped it up like it was gospel. She giggled. She thanked him. She even said, and this part made me grin, "That's why I love you. You get me." He never got me. He was always too simple to understand how things worked. The arrogance in her voice was pure music. Better yet, Logan asked her what she wanted done with the rest. The accounts. The properties. The vacation home. She listed everything off like she was reading from a shopping list. Like a predator finally feasting after a long hunt. And all of it, every sordid second, was recorded crystal clear. That night, Logan delivered the files. I didn't thank him. He wasn't doing this out of kindness. He was doing it because I owned him now. I listened to the recording twice. Once for the facts, once to enjoy the casual cruelty in her tone. She wasn't ashamed. She wasn't conflicted. She was thrilled. She thought she was burying me while wearing pearls and playing queen. That was the best part. I played the role of clueless husband in public. Held doors open. Smiled politely when she mentioned new beginnings. Acted confused when my lawyer called and said she'd submitted preliminary divorce filings with bold claims about asset transfers already in motion. Some moments are too perfect to pass up. As much as I enjoy quiet victories, this wasn't meant to be one of those. No, this called for something grand. Something public. When you spend months quietly stitching the perfect trap, eventually you want to hear the snap in surround sound. So the wedding was ideal. Packed house. Family, friends, cameras, and most importantly, her. Sitting there smiling like she was still queen of a kingdom that was already gone. Logan was there too, straightening his tie, glancing nervously like a man about to sit on a landmine. Even Matt, my son, unaware of what was about to unfold, looked blissfully untouched. For now. I waited. Let the ceremony flow. Let the speeches happen. Let the illusion dance a little longer. Then, I stood. Calm. Unhurried. I tapped my glass once, loud enough to gather eyes. If I may, I said, smiling with just enough warmth to confuse everyone. Then came the lights. I gave a subtle nod to Danny, standing near the AV table, a laptop already connected to the ballroom projector. The screen flickered once, twice, then it began. No warning. No easing in. The footage started raw and cold. My wife and Logan. My bedroom. 3 months ago. Her voice carrying through the speakers louder than any wedding toast. The room went silent instantly, as if oxygen had been sucked out. Faces twisted in shock, gasps rippled across every row. Some turned away. Others couldn't. Matt stood frozen, staring up at the screen as the betrayal unfolded in real time before his eyes. I watched my wife, saw her face drain of all color. Her mouth moved but no words came. Logan tried to stand, mumbling something desperate, but it didn't matter. The video ended, and Danny didn't wait. Next came slides. Bank records. Fake company invoices. Text threads. Logan's voice, recorded, plotting to help transfer my assets while laughing behind my back. I didn't narrate. The evidence spoke better than I ever could. When the last file hit the screen, Danny stepped forward again, this time with uniformed officers right behind him. Logan barely had time to turn before cold hands clamped his wrists. The officer read him his rights. Fraud. Conspiracy. Trespassing. Wire fraud. It stacked fast and heavy. Logan didn't argue. He didn't beg. He just sagged as they dragged him away through the stunned, whispering crowd. I stayed where I was. Let the scene breathe. My wife looked like a ghost now. Whatever fantasy she'd built collapsed right there, crushed under the weight of facts. I finished simply, steady and ruthless. This is what your mother really is like, I said, locking eyes with Matt. And this, well, this is the last lie she'll ever tell under my roof. Write in the comments, what would you do in this situation?